Mr. Toastmaster. Let's get this out of the way. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to start the story off with a video clip of 47 seconds. I was up in South Sudan just last year evaluating one of our humanitarian projects. In this case, it was our water boreholing funding. And while we were there dancing, as you saw, and we were giving, the chief was giving the speeches, and then I had to speak about the borehole, the chief's wife had a speaking turn. There she is, the lady in the, that one, in the bumblebee t-shirt. And she relayed this story. She said, we had to fetch water from the village at Nimule 3 times a day in these huge cisterns that we had to put on our heads. And because we had to carry water so often, our hair stopped growing. Now that you have given us this borehole, our hair started growing again. Thank you for making us beautiful again. I work for an organization called SS Network, SSNet, which is short for SS Network, and what we do at the organization is we garner funds and we create awareness for the plight of the people of Sudan and South Sudan. Now you might say, Eddie, heavens, you just have to go around the corner here and there's need in South Africa. But ladies and gentlemen, it's like me coming to you, who is a lawyer, and saying, excuse me, why don't you become a doctor? Same thing. It's about calling, and it's about where you have a passion for. Now, we have 4 projects in Sudan and South Sudan. The first one being the Beja people. Now, the Beja people are the indigenous inhabitants of Sudan before time immemorial, and they live in Aswan at the moment, in a refugee camp. And we create funding for cataract operations for these Beja people in the Aswan area. Very poor, terrible conditions, but that is one of our projects. Our next project is because we are a faith-based organization, we print Bibles in South Africa. We've got a great guy in Rustenburg. He prints a New Testament, ladies and gentlemen, for $5. $5. That is amazing. So what we do is we fund 100,000 Bibles. What they do is they load the trucks, they load their own trucks, and then go up to Kakuma, which is northern Kenya, at a Sudanese refugee camp. And we do that once a year with these 100,000 Bibles, where we then spread the Bibles throughout the refugee camp. That's number 2. Number 3 is we've got a children's project up in the Nuba Mountains, which borders on Sudan and South Sudan, and we give education equipment to them. Basically, at the moment, we're working on science labs and biology labs. Now, if I say lab, it's not a lab as we understand it. It is equipment which they can use to perform rudimentary science experiments. And the last one is our water boreholing. So what we do is we work with an agent in Sudan and South Sudan. We raise funds, and they then go bore boreholes for us where it is required. Here's the rub. Ladies and gentlemen, these 4 projects cost money. And Joyce Meyer famously said, the gospel is free, getting it to you is not. So we live in the real world, and therefore money is required to fund these humanitarian organizations. Et voila, coffee. What happened was we had a friend of ours come to our office and say, why do you not create a coffee brand and sell coffee, where the proceeds of the profits would go back to the 4 projects, and the buying of this would help the African farmers? Because, ladies and gentlemen, before we tried this, we went to corporates. We had inquiries go out, and believe me, the silence was deafening. Deafening. So we had to start relying on our own skills. Now, our coffee is Barika, and it means blessing in Arabic. Strangely enough, in Shona, which is the Zimbabwean language, it means polygamy. Can you believe it? Please forget that one. It's not polygamy. This is blessing. And what we have is we've got Arabica coffee. Now you have Arabica and Robusta, and you coffee aficionados, Robusta is what instant coffee is made of. Most of the instant coffees, the Jacobs and the Nestle's and so on. Arabica is the more aromatic coffee. It's lighter and it's more tasty. But what's more important is we source our coffee beans only. We source our coffee only from the Africa coffee belt. Now this is the world coffee belt, and obviously Brazil produces the most coffee in the world by far. But we only have coffee in Africa. So for instance, this is Rwandan, single origin blend at the moment. And that enables the small farmers and the small co-ops also to benefit from our coffee selling, because we buy it from them. And that is how we help them as well. Now, we had to go and look at the pricing of this product, because if you walk in a store these days, your 1 kilogram ranges from 199 Rand all the way to 300 Rand. And we pinned ours, we've only got 2 varieties, or 2 groups, and it's the 1 kilo and the 250, and we price it 210 Rand, 68 Rand, and it fits nicely in the retail environment. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is only hierdie coffee hierie. This is AA, it's really, really good coffee. What we also went to do is, we created an online presence. And it's called barikacoffee.co.za, and it's online. You order from there, and it gets delivered to you, or you may actually even come and collect from the online store. I must admit, we haven't got the online store going as we would like yet, but never fear, it will come on track. It will come on track. Other than the coffee, just as a corollary, we also raise funds by asking roadrunners who run the comrades to raise funds on our behalf. S for J means Sudan for Jesus. So what we do is we go and ask them, you are running the comrades, so why not just run the comrades for a good cause and raise funds on their behalf? So what we do is we create a crowdfunding profile for them, and they then raise funds on our behalf. But coffee is where we really want our money, or really want to get the funding. Because, for instance, ladies and gentlemen, to get the Bibles to Kakuma in northern Kenya, the diesel bill alone is 320,000 Rand. That's harsh. That's harsh in any language. To Bora Bora in South Africa these days costs you about 90,000 Rand. In South Sudan, it costs you 160,000 Rand. A cataract operation in Aswan costs $3,000. Knowing what the exchange rate these days is, it's harsh, it's horrible. It's horrible. So we have to find a way, and we have to make sure that this coffee is a success. And that is why we put everything into it, and also make sure that it is top quality coffee, specifically for the hipsters we have these days who would like their cup of coffee. In closing, I'd like to ask you, I'd like to take it back right to the beginning. Every cup of Barika coffee that you will drink, you will help to make somebody in the Sudan or South Sudan beautiful again. Ladies and gentlemen.